Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, I will share with you a very nice mesh bag recipe that is very easy and enjoyable to make. Look, you see two bags here, one is bigger. We used a ball of yarn for this. Here we worked a little smaller. We will knit and prepare this together. Both bags were knitted the same way. Only their numbers and centimeters are different. I want us to examine our bag immediately. Look, we will prepare an oval base. This is also quite nice. I want to show an easy work like this. Look, we will prepare the nets and give a beautiful form to our bag. It looks so beautiful when it is attached. It is very easy to make. I am sure that even those who start knitting for the first time can do it very easily because the model consists of only a chain and single needle. Look at the handle detail. I want to finish our handle with the chain and single crochet technique. I want to show this bag like this. Would you like to see it? I'm also having trouble fitting the screen because they are not small bags. This was a little more citywide. Look, this is the green one. The black one is the size of a beach bag. I want to show you the inside right now. Look, it was a very neat and beautiful piece. As I said, it is very easy to make. You can use it directly without lining, but if you want, you can sew it on the lining or use it by putting a bag inside. Look now, I want to show you the black bag too. I worked 9 rows of soles on the black bag. In this small bag, I worked 10 rows of sole. We will prepare an oval base, and as I said, these details are available in the video. Look, it's a little difficult to reflect black, but it's a really beautiful piece. It was the perfect beach bag size and was very nice. We only used one ball of yarn for this. Look for a very fertile thread. I want to show its texture closely. These are called shiny metallic paper ropes. We will prepare a nice bag. This is a really stylish piece. I want to show it on the inside. It is a very durable bag. Since we have increased the elasticity of the rope by ironing it, we will not experience any sagging or distortion. It is also worth mentioning that it is a really beautiful two-piece bag. The recipe is also very enjoyable. I hope you like it too, and you can try it. Before moving on to our detailed recipe, I would like to make a small request from you. You can subscribe to our channel for free. I would be really happy if you like the video and leave your comments. Let's move on to the recipe. I bought it from Aksa Knitting Boutique for my bag. I will use metallic paper type. Look, it has a shiny texture. Now we will knit and prepare this beautiful color together. Here I prepared the black color. There are many different color options. You can reach Aksa Knitting Boutique to order this yarn and see its different colors. I will add the link to the Instagram account in the description section below. You can reach Aksa Knitting Boutique by clicking there. It is easier to knit than the paper type. It has a soft knit. He doesn't force any hands. Look, I used a ball of yarn for my big black bag here. We will knit and prepare a big bag from a ball of yarn. Look, I even have so much more black yarn. It is a very fertile thread. Now I won't pack as big a bag as here. I will prepare a slightly smaller size. By the way, while describing the bag, I will share with you the numbers and dimensions of the large bag here step by step. I used 3mm crochet hook when knitting my black bag. Again, I will use 3mm crochet hook when working with the rope here. I immediately removed the end of my rope from the middle of my ball of yarn. Look, I want to show you its texture up close. It has a very nice texture and is shiny. Now we start right away with the lock chain. After locking our first chain, we prepare our starting chain so that they are a little looser than the setting we knitted. Now for my piece here, I want to show it like this. Our oval base color is black, but I hope you can understand it. Look, by making 56 chains, starting with 56 chains. How many rows did we knit here? Let's count together. I worked an oval base by knitting 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 rows. Look, a classic oval base. How to make this oval base. I have shared the detailed video before. There will be those who remember. I explained it in great detail for those who are starting for the first time. Again, I will add the link to the recipe for the oval base in the description section below. Just look, I'm measuring the part with 9 rows of single crochet. The length of my base, which I knitted in 9 rows starting with 56 chains, is 37 centimeters on the long side and 9 centimeters on the short side. Also, if your rope is thicker or thinner than the load I use, there will be differences in measurements. You can start with whatever number you want the size of your bag to be. Now look here, after knitting the base will actually grow larger with the net. Normally, I only gave the bottom size of our bag, the part with single needles. Normally, let's flatten the size of our base approximately like this. Look, I will tell you the measurement of the long side. Now I want to explain this part in detail. It measures approximately 45 centimeters. If I give the deep part, it is not a 9 centimeter bag. It is a very deep bag. It was about 15 centimeters because the base will continue straight along with the net. I will share it with you here. I want to tell you the length of the bag right away from the bottom to the bottom. Let me give you the dimensions of this big bag. If I don't forget the length and how many rows I knitted, I will share it hopefully. Look, the length of the bag from the bottom to the bottom is approaching 46 to 47 centimeters. Look, it's like 47 centimeters. Let's give you the most knitted one right away. As I said, the width of our bag is quite large. I'm also having trouble fitting the screen. Look, it's about 59 to 60 centimeters wide. It's a pretty wide bag. If I were to give the size of the handle part, it was the handle. I used 80 chains. We knitted 3 rows of single needles with 80 chains. To give a rough measurement, we had a handle length of approximately 50 centimeters with 80 chains. Look at the measurements like this. I hope that has been revealing. Look, it's a very, very easy bag. We will prepare an oval base. We will finish our bag by creating a net with 3 chains and finally creating the handle at the end of the bag. Now for this bag, as I said, I knitted an oval base in 9 rows, starting with 56 chains. Then let's set up the model net and give the number here. When I count in the net row, we can say that there are approximately 57 rows. After knitting the net row, we now move on to knitting the handle. Look at this. These are the numbers of our big bag. Now we move on to knitting our bag here with the same recipe and the same numbers. Now I'm going to work a little bit smaller here because it was exactly the length of the beach. I want to use the filly bag a little more for daily use around the city because it is very stylish when worn. Now I pull my chain a little bit. I will be sharing with you how many chains I made right now. Here I have now pulled 35 chains in total. Now I will try a smaller bag. Here I started with 56 chains. Here I started by making 35 chains. Now I turn our chain full circle, not the straight part. We will use the reverse part. I'm leaving the last chain I pulled. I apply it by dipping into the back cut line where the next chain is. I immediately knit a single crochet at this point. Look, I will knit 3 single crochets in this chain. So I knit 3 single crochets in the second chain, 2 and 3. See it this way. Now I want my first chain so that our ending and beginning are clear. Let's attach a safety pin to the point where the first single crochet is. Look, we knitted 1, 2, 3 single crochets in the 34th chain. Now I come to the other chain. I sink into the back cut line and knit single crochet. 1, another chain. Look, I hope it's understandable. You will see this very clearly when you hold it in your hands. See the dashed lines on the back? We will knit our single needles by sinking into the back cut lines of the chain here. I'm coming to another chain immediately. I make a loop by sinking into the back cut line. I have 2 stitches to fill. Single needle, I'm sinking into another chain. This stitch I took out, single needle. Now, like this, until the end of the row, look at the last chain. We knit 1 single needle in each of them and move on to the last point. Now look, I've reached the point where the last chain is. I'm knitting 3 single needles in the last chain. This is the first single needle. I will put the short thread in the same space. Second stitch. Now look, I am making a turn and I will knit even the short stitch, hiding it in the same space, the third stitch. Now when knitting like this, it doesn't look like much. It seems to be very clumpy in our hands. It may look very crumpled, but after finishing the base it will be nice with steam. We will iron the sole. Can you see that it looks like a mold? It will be as flat as a mold, and we will have removed those crookedness. Do not let this worry us. I hope it's understandable since this rope is a little bright like this. As I said, I had a very detailed video for beginners on how to make an oval base. I will add the link to the video in the description section. Oval base. If you are confused here, I definitely recommend you to watch that video. Now we have returned with 3 single crochet stitches, and I come down to the bottom of the next single crochet, and the chains will now be on my hook in the form of a spike. I will continue knitting here, hiding the short yarn. Look, after a few rows, the rope will now sit perfectly in our hands. Now we have crossed over to the other side. By dipping at the point where each chain is located, we sink to the bottom of the single needles and knit a single needle on each other. We hide the short rope here too. Look, we will continue by knitting our single needles. Look, we knit 3 single needles right at the end, knitting the others with single needle. We are moving forward until we reach the point where the safety pin is. Look, we have come to the end of our row. Now I am knitting a single needle on the last single needle here. We knitted 3 single needles at the beginning. I'm taking out this safety pin. After knitting the last single needle here, I'm pricking the top of the first single needle. I'm taking out a stitch and slipping the stitch I removed from the waiting stitch. I'll use a slip point here. I'm going up with a chain that I won't knit in a spiral. Now I'm knitting 2 single needles at the top of this first single needle, 1 in the same space, 2 now in the same space. I'm attaching a safety pin to my single needle again. It's actually quite obvious with the sliding point, but it's useful to wear it for beginners. Now we knit 2 single needles in the first of the trio, triple SC. Now we knit 2 more stitches on the second single needle, 2 single crochet stitches, 1. Second single crochet into the same space. Add 2 single needles to the top of the third single needle that we knit in the same space. 1, 2. Look, the increases in the oval base proceed from 3 points. These 3 points will always continue as 222 in each row. Now the other points will be 1 each. Look, we have 3 double crochets. Now I knit a single crochet into another single crochet until I reach the point in the corner. When I come to this corner, I have a triple crochet. There are 3 single crochet stitches, and by knitting single crochet in a 2-2-2 pattern, we will transform them into single crochet stitches, inserting 1 stitch into each other and proceeding to the end of the row. Look, we've reached the end of our turn. We knitted the last single needle. Now I remove the safety pin from the first single crochet. Look, we have a scroll here. I immediately prick the top of the first single needle. I take off the loop and make my slip. After the scroll, I go up with a chain. Now I knit 2 single needles on the first single needle that comes up. 1, 2 in the same space. Now there will be 3 of these double crochets at a time in the form of 2-2-2. In the meantime, odd numbers will increase. Now we knit 2 single needles. I knit 1 on another single needle. Now, by the way, as I said, for those who are new to this first single crochet, it is useful to put it here. We knitted 2 stitches in the first one, we knitted 1 single crochet in the other one. Now look at the next one, it's coming in a double. What does double mean? 2 single crochets in the same hole means 1 single crochet. Now look at the next one, I see the double, there are 2 in the same hole, 2 single crochets in the first one. I'm knitting 1, 2, I hope it's understandable. Otherwise, as I said, we're just knitting an oval base here. We started with 35 chains here, and here we started with 56 chains. It's useful to explain roughly now, but we started with 2, so we started with a couple, 1 single pair. Now I'm knitting the next single, then I'm knitting a double again to the next one. I have 3 pairs, 3 2-2-2 dot. Look, the oval base will increase like this. Then I continue knitting the others one by one. Look. The others will proceed single. We made our increases on the oval base here. We will continue knitting the others single. See the reflection of this place. We will do the same process directly here. When we see the double, that is when we see two single needles in the same hole, the first needle is 2 needles and the other one is 1. 2, so 1 pair, 1 odd, 1 pair, 1 odd, 1 pair. Then we will continue knitting the others one by one. We will have reached the end of our turn. What will we do next? As I said, there will be 3 double dots. It will go 2, 2, 2 ways. We will always keep these 3 constant. The single dots in between will have increased. Look, a couple and a single, a couple became a single. The next row will be a double and 2 odd, 1 pair 2 odd, 1 pair, then the others will continue single. We will do the same process here as well, then come to the end of the row. I noticed this here too. See, while knitting on the oval base, I tried not to overlap double dots in my process. 1 odd, 2 odd, then 3 became 1. I continued my oval base until I had 9 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows. Now look, we have knitted our base in 9 rows here. In the last row, that is in the 9th row, we sank 1 of each. We did not increase on the oval base, so we knitted until there were 8 rows. Last time we made 6 single and 1 double in our edge increase here. At the end we understood each of them, that is in the 9th row. Now look, I want to knit the oval base here in 9 rows. After the base is finished, it is necessary to steam it after the needle point is finished. Now we will knit 9 rows of base. Since I started this base smaller here, I knitted it in 9 rows. So the last 7 I've made a single pair. I knitted the 10th row by making 1 stitch in each row. Finally, I steam ironed it by pressing it well from both the reverse and straight sides. Look, we have achieved a very uniform image and texture. I want to show it up close. Look, the texture is like this. Now, I will give you the measurement in centimeters. You can work larger or smaller by changing your starting chain count. He is 27 centimeters tall. Both the hand and the short side were 10 centimeters wide. Now we will move on to making the net part. The operations we will do from now on will always be the same. Now this was our ending and starting point. I took out my safety pin. Now we won't need the safety pin anymore. Look, we sank 1 of each in the 10th row. I made 9 rows here. Here I decided to make 10 rows on the small base. You can make such changes. You can also make the base larger. You can prepare it on a wider base consisting entirely of single crochet. Now look, we went up with a chain. I come and immediately sink into the top space where the first single needle is. I knit 1 single crochet. After the single crochet, I make 1, 2, 3 chains. I skip 1 single crochet. I knit 1 single crochet directly into the other. Look, we will create 3 chain nets like this. From now on, our model will always consist of 3 chain nets. Let's put our bag aside. 1, 2, 3 chains after the single crochet. I skip 1 single crochet. I sink into the next one. See, and I knit a single crochet immediately. I knit my single crochet by leaving a gap in 1, 2, 3 chains, leaving a gap and sinking into another. See, the nets consist of 3 chains. If you want to make your base even larger with single crochet, and when you work the base very large, there will be a gap. If you leave it alone and create nets like this, we will now have a base with a net. Look, like here, when we look at the bag, we knitted a single crocheted base of about 10 centimeters, but the width of the base became longer with the net, about 15 centimeters. It was the same way. Look, with the net we are actually continuing to knit another sole here, but you can knit it directly and I will knit it as a base. If you wanted to go directly to the net, you can leave 2 spaces and sink into the third. This is how you can create your files. Again, I will recommend you to create it with 3 chains. Look, we get an elephant with 3 chains in a very ideal space. 3 chains are ideal, leaving 2 spaces and sinking into the third. You can go out with a net on the wall instead of a net on the base. It is useful to give these tips. Now look, we will leave a space of 3 chains, insert into the second one, and continue our nets by knitting single needles. Okay, it'll be like this until the end of the row. Now look, we are approaching the end of our sprout row here. I leave a space and knit 1 single crochet at the end, and we have 1 single crochet left at the end. Look, we started with one single crochet when we started here. Now our endings will be different. I draw a chain here. I wrap my yarn around the beginning of the crochet hook and I sink into the top of the first single crochet needle I started with. I removed a stitch 3. I have a loop, I'm filling it, I'm knitting a single handrail by gathering 3 of them at once. It's also called double crochet. Look, this is our last net point here. Let's attach it to this last net with a hook so that our place is clear. Now, when we see this single handrail, we will always make the ends with a single chain handrail by dipping it into the top of the single needle as it is. The beginning is here. Pull a 2-3 chain and look at the next net space. We directly sink into the 3 chain space and knit a single needle. 1, 2, 3 chains and the next net space, directly insert into the 3 chain space and single needle. The model is a very easy example consisting of chain and single crochet. I knit 2 3 chains and a single crochet by coming to the net point. In this way we will continue with 3 chain single crochets, 3 chains, 3 chain crochets until the hook is reached. See the hook until the last point where the single handrail is. We have come to the last point where it is. Now look, we are at the net point where the hook is, and there is the previous point. Now 1, 2, 3 chains, sink into the net point here and knit our single needle. Then look, I am at the point where the hook is. Now I will remove it like this. Look, I will pull 1 chain at the point where I see the single handrail. I wrap it around the head of my hook and sink it to the top of the single railing here. Look, I'm sinking directly onto the top of the single handrail. I removed the noose. I have 3 stitches to fill. I collect 3 of them at once. Now, in order not to move this up every time, let's place this safety pin on the body of the first single crochet I knitted after the single crochet. This is our ending and starting point. From now on, look, we will finish with a single handrail. We will have completed the endings as I have shown in these 2 rows. After the single handrail, I pull 1, 2, 3 chains and come immediately. Look, I'm knitting my single crochet into the first 3 chain spaces. This single handrail will always continue like this. Then 1, 2, 3 chain. I continue the same process. Look, all I do is to insert the gaps of even 3 chains, knit single needles, and draw 3 chains. We will continue like this. Then look, I will sink to this point and tie a chain. I saw the single handrail and pull a chain and put it on the top of the single handrail. We will repeat the ending here in the same way by sinking and knitting a single handrail. And now see what happens? The ending doesn't follow a straight path here. How do we count the mesh model? We always count diagonally. Look, the ending and starting point here will continue and progress to this part or the edge of the bag, and this will change depending on the depth we will make. The only thing we need to do now is to knit the elephant. Look at the beginning and the end as I described until our bag becomes hollow. See how deep you want it. I gave you the inches and numbers here. There was a very nice depth here. I knitted it almost until I finished the ball, after leaving a little bit of yarn for the handle. I have finished my bag with a ball of yarn by making the handle side. As I said, you can adjust the size of your bag according to the size of the ball. As I said, you can adjust your own size however you want. Since this bag is a little smaller, we will now knit enough of the wall part. After knitting the wall part, that is, after the net part is finished, make sure to make the base. As we do, we iron it well from the inside with a steam iron and definitely open the mesh part with our hands like this. Look, I made my bag deep enough by knitting my nets here. You can enlarge the size as much as you want. I continued until I had 46 rows of net. I will not measure in centimeters now, because it needs ironing, see? Now I will fold the ironing process we did on the sole as follows. Look, we will expand the nets even more by ironing them by opening our bag neatly and giving it a nice shape. The length of the bag seems short now, but it will be a little longer. It will have reached the size I want. Look, I want to share it with you again after another row. See how we were doing the end of the row. See if it still has a hook as I go up like this. I moved it up at the point where I finished. After knitting a single crochet, we pull a chain and fill it with our crochet hook. Look, the single handrail here sinks into the top of this, removing the stitch and making 3 stitches as a single stitch. We continue by collecting it at a time, then we continue with 3 chains. Now we have finished. From now on we will move on to making the handle part, but before making the handle part I want to see whether it has reached the size I want or not by ironing it. We opened our net points with steam and beautifully. Now our net measurement from the single crochet point is 38 centimeters. The length of my bag is 38 centimeters. You can grow as tall as you want. This size is enough for me, but you can make it longer or shorter. Now look, we will move on to adjusting the handle of our bag. Look, our ending and starting points are clear here. Now I am holding the nets opposite each other. Look from the front and the back. Look at this according to the base. I make the edge point of my bag from the base very clear, and I count the net points opposite each other. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look, opposite each other. 6, 7, 8, 9. I attach the hook to the estimated 9th net, both at the point in front and at the point at the back. Then look, I'll continue on this side. Let's leave it here. Then I continue counting from the other net. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's leave 11 like this. Now look, I'm putting them on opposite each other to the 11th. Now I'll count from this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 9 left, just like the first one, so I will leave 11 elephants here and there for the 11th one. Look, let's keep it like this, and I will attach the front one. We will also set these numbers on the back in this way, that is, we will divide this part into 3. The point where we will place the handle, this will be the handle opening. Look at this point a little more. I left 11 nets, I left 9 nets here. Look at the back and front. We have made the points where we will place the handle clear. We'll start from the side. Let's do it this way. This is our ending and starting point. Let's attach our safety pin here and see our ending and starting point. Now look here. We finished with a single handrail. After the single handrail, I draw a chain like this. I come to the next net and knit 2 single crochets. 2 or 2 single needles in another net, 2 again. Now by knitting 2 single needles in each net, that is, by knitting 2 single needles in the 3 chain spaces, don't look at it, there is no chain in between, etc. I don't do these single needles very often, keeping my hand a little loose. In this way I make 2 blank spaces of 2 chains and 2 blank spaces of 3 chains. Look. Until the point where there was a safety pin. Look, we started from here. We knitted our single needles. I'm at the point where the safety pin is. Now I knit 2 single needles in this section. Now I will draw a chain between 2 safety pins and start creating the handle part. I drew 80 chains in the black bag. We obtained a stem approximately 50 centimeters long. Now I'm going to make it a little bit smaller here too. I will pull my 75 chains. I'm starting now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I complete my chain of 75 in this way. Look, I pulled 75 chains. Without bending the chain, I immediately come to the point where there is another safety pin. And I immediately attach my chain to this point with 2 single crochet stitches. Look at the first single crochet, second single crochet into the same space. I want to show it like this. Look, we started with single crochets from here and made 75 chains, leaving enough space here and attaching them to the point where the hook is, that is, we have fixed it. Now we will proceed by knitting 2 single crochets for each 3 chains, up to the point where the hook is. There is a hook at the back and 3 chains in the space here. At the point where the hook is, we will knit 2 single crochets, draw 75 chains and fix them to this point. Here again, we will knit 2 single crochets in each and proceed to the end of the row. Look, we have come to the end of the row as we have described. Now we have drawn a chain here. Let's remember, this is a chain at the last point. I knit a single crochet in the gap. Then look, we're at the point where the hook is, that is, there is the single crochet we first started with. Now here we sink into the top of the first single crochet we started with, remove the stitch and shift it. Then we continue to knit one single crochet on each single crochet by inserting a chain immediately into the top of the first single crochet. Look, I'm knitting one single crochet for each of them. By the way, I never shake my hand, because it is the mouth part. We will iron this part at the end of the bag instead of ironing it anyway. That's why I knit normally without tightening. I even knit the word by keeping it a little looser. If you have very tight hands, 2 single crochets for 3 chains may not be enough. You can also do 3, then the mouth of your bag will be more open. You can also adjust this to suit yourself, according to the tightness and looseness of your hand. Now we knit 1 single crochet on top of each single crochet until the chain point on the handle. Now here, look, we knit this last single crochet every time. Now we have come to the chained point. We will knit 1 single crochet by dipping directly into each chain. Look, what we're doing is just knitting single crochet in this neck part. Now we're going to knit 75 single crochets in each chain, and then we'll open it like this. We'll open each single crochet point with 1 single crochet, and we'll knit the point with the chain here and come to the end point. Our shifting point is clear. We will move up with the chain, go up with the chain, and knit single crochet on the single crochet again, and complete the second row of our handle in the same way. After finishing in the same way, we will complete another row. That is, the stem will consist of 3 rows of single crochet. Let's show it immediately as on the black bag. I want to show it like this. Just like in our black bag, continue 3 rows of 1, 2, 3 rows of the stem with single crochet, and see, there is no different process. Then we will complete our bag by finishing the edge and cutting the rope. After knitting 3 rows of stem with single crochet, look at it with a steam iron. We will have ironed it beautifully. It has a very neat appearance. It looks really great, especially when worn. Now, just like on my black bag, I will finish the handle part with 3 rows of single crochet on my green bag. Finally, I will come here and complete my bag by cutting the string, hiding it inside, and steam ironing it. Let us share it with you in its final form. I completed our bag as we described to you. Look at our handle. We made it with 75 chains and our measurement was approximately 45 centimeters. If I roughly measure the size of my bag, the part from the base to the handle is 55 centimeters. And look, the width of the mouth of the bag is 50 centimeters. This is the width of my bag. Our yarn grows from a ball of yarn, so we have enough yarn to knit another small bag. It is also worth mentioning this. Look, the length of my black bag is 60 centimeters. I'm not talking about this point with frequent needles from the base, that is, the mesh part. The part from the net point to the handle was 60 centimeters, and the width of the mouth part was also 60 centimeters. For this, I finished a whole ball of yarn. I shared it with you in the beginning. Our recipe was like this. Look, they are very stylish and beautiful bags. It looks really nice, especially when worn. Look, when I turn it like this, let's look at the base. It was a very neat work. I hope you like it and try it too. I wish good luck to those who will do it. Don't forget to like our video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. Goodbye until we see you in the next video.